Gotta do some final stripping.
Welcome to my complete paint booth. 914. Got 2 air intakes, left and right. Each one contains 2 thick double filters. We've got LED lights all the way around. Total of 6. And I got baseboards all the way around, top and bottom. As well, the filters have tuck tape all the way around, no airflow coming in. Windows all caulked. Barn doors and man door sealed with gaskets. Paint filtration. There's a fan mounted on the top of the loft area. Remote control controls the fan from inside the booth, so I can turn the fan off while I walk out the man door and not suck in dust. You can see the gaskets all in here, as well as all in both sides of the doors. Doors all cocked around. There's going to be some air infiltration, but minimal. And now I just have to take off the roof rack, luggage rack, and then I'm going to strip the 914 down. I'm going to use one of these guys here instead of the stripping discs I have been using that chew away a lot of the metal. Apparently that's a better, safer way to go. And the inside, you can see where I've changed out the center tunnel. The car is actually 2 cars that are joined. Right along this seam here, there was an orange car and a yellow car. And now they're 1 car again. And the blue car is off my red car, which had been repainted. And it had a decent center tunnel, so I cut that out, as well as all the lines and cable conduit that were contained within it. You can see some of the botched welding that was done to join the 2 together. I had to fix a bunch of that up. The fender, that's a culmination of failures and efforts on my part and previous collision damage that was repaired. So right here, not here, but right here, you could see where the car actually fell off the hoist, and that was the pin point, and it crushed this point in probably about that far. And through the process of trying to repair that, it ground through the metal, so I had a thin spot I had to repair. All this welded on. This is another example of my poor handiwork, but this whole fender was displaced laterally to where this gap here was pretty narrow at this point, pretty wide at this point. So I had to do some cutting and actually pull the fender out to try and get my spacing right. That's where the antenna was. It was all rotted out there. I had to pull that out. There was some front impact damage here. You can see where some of the metal's been pulled back out. We have no impact damage on this side. You can see some of the porosity in the welds. That's because I had my gas setting too low. In fact, all these fenders were welded on twice because I had the polarity wrong the first time and then switched it around and then had the gas too low. So all in all, just shitty welding. Here I filled in the gap. Probably not an ideal thing to do, but I did it anyway. And then back here, I cut off this lip because I wanted a clean look. And once again, if I had my time back, wouldn't have done that. As I ran the welder across here, of course, I didn't use any cooling air to limit warping. So you've got something that you could probably see the deviation in the metal there. It's all warped. disfigured, so I'm going to have to put a lot of fill in that. Inside the hell hole, it's not too bad, but did require some patchwork in there. And the opposing side, I put a couple patches in there, so I've tried my best to grind this out. I've removed all the hardware mechanism to open the trunk and hold the trunk open. I'm thinking on building something that's going to be welded to the inside and will hold the trunk open, shocks of sorts, so I'm not using that mechanical apparatus which seems to fatigue and fall apart. Back here, this whole rear end had been smashed in, so once again, this is off my red car, which this came off of, and you can see I kind of cut out all along there and put this back in. The old one had several holes drilled across here where there was a reflector covering all the deformities in the metal, and this whole back section was displaced so that it was virtually flat all the way across the back, and inside the trunk it was displaced downwards so that it dropped down about 2 inches before moving forward, so I had to block it up underneath to actually pull this whole rear valence or portion of the vehicle rearward to where it actually came back into its proper contoured shape. So I do have the little Lee press-on wing that's going to come across here, and I'll be deleting this and welding holes in here. And I've got my steel rims. I had a different set, but I messed up on the offset, so the nice rims that I had bought actually come out about 1 inch too far and they hit the fender, and I really don't feel like cutting my fenders open and expanding or extending them 1 inch, because this particular kit that I bought from Auto Atlantic, I also bought the fiberglass rocker panel covers to go with it, and they flow and form to this particular flare dimension. So if I change the flare dimension, now I have to mess with the rocker panels. So I'm just going to leave them the way they are and run these steel rims, which were actually off a Volkswagen Beetle dune buggy of sorts, and they have a welded 3-inch center cone expansion. So the front ones are probably going to put a spacer on because they still sit inside the fender flare a bit too far. I would like them to come out, and that's pending proper clearances. So I may cut the center core out of one of my spare rotors and use that as a spacer to kind of see how much I could bring that tire out. And this one here has decent spacing. So after the engine's in and the suspension's lowered, I may have to get drop spindles or whatever in the front. So after everything's lowered, I'm going to have a look to see how the stance sits and whether or not it has that cool factor I'm looking for, or if the wheels are too small, or if it sits too high in the front, which it likely will. Then I'll reevaluate what I have to do there. So all in all, I've pretty much got the paint booth to where I need it to be to start priming. I've got some rust mort that I'm going to be spraying the panels with to get rid of all the little bits of surface rust that have accumulated. And when I get the surface prepped, then I have the not the rubberized undercoating, but I have a can of wax and grease remover somewhere that I will promptly go over the vehicle with, prep it. I'll open the bay doors and blast this whole area, get rid of as much of the dust as I can. Then I can run that fan for a bit, get some good airflow, and then at least that'll be the trial when I start putting on that first coat of primer to seal the metal. And I'll have an idea to see how it evacuates the fumes, and then I'll be able to go in my shop, and because I'm venting into my shop, I'll be able to see whether or not that vent and that particular filtration system is actually going to move or remove all the particulate, from the air. So that's going to be a big thing, because I don't want my entire shop to smell like thinner or anything that's going to be long lasting in there, to where anytime I walk in the shop I smell some sort of residue. So I think that's it. Bye for now. Now that the trunk is stripped down the bare metal, I've got a series of 4 holes I need to weld shut. And then I'll lightly sand the underside, which is still red, but I'm not going to strip it right down the bare metal. I did it on the other trunk lid for that yellow car out there, and it took me quite a while. So this has got a fairly decent layer of paint, so I'll just scuff it so I can throw the primer on there, and we're good to go.
So here I am with the inside all painted. You see, I'm slowly making my way. We got the interior done. And the front. The engine bay. Alright. Now I can start the body work.
After many ups and downs, we are finally at a stage where I can start doing the final taping and preparation for paint, which I'm hoping by the end of today will be done. I had a lot of issues with primer, trying to get the fender straight, take out all the bumps, nibs, overspray. So I've sanded it with 80, 180, 240, and 400. Took the vehicle out, washed the whole vehicle down, and scrubbed all the walls in the shop and the floor. Got everything as clean as I can. Just went through and vacuumed the whole surface again. Went over with 400 to get rid of any overspray from the touch-up primer. And that's where we're at. Countless hours and every possible failure you can imagine I encountered. Okay, so this is my second kick at the cat. The first time I had far too much dust and contaminants falling into the paint. I got fish eyes galore. I had the paint mixture off, so basically the entire car was covered in orange peel. So now I'm dealing with a multitude of small defect repairs. If you can see that. So this has been sanded down with 400, and I'm hoping to attempt to spray it again today with the proper mixture. I've got as much of the orange peel out as I could. There's definitely still some areas that I'm going to hit with spot putty to try and fill in the little pinholes. I had numerous runs. My paint sprayer vent tube was blocked, so I wound up spraying the entire car with a small touch-up spray can or sprayer. At the trailing end, I was able to figure out the mixture as well as fix the main gun, but it was far too late. The damage was done. So between a faulty gun, the wrong paint mixture, the copious amounts of debris that fell into the paint, as well as the exhaling portion of my mask was dripping condensation, so I had water in the paint. Probably the worst paint job I could have done. I think if I painted in a desert with my eyes closed, I could have done a better job. So we'll see how it looks second time around. chrome caliper. Alright, first of two shocks. Alleviate those torsion bar systems. See, I had these two bolts initially. Didn't consider the fact that it would just fold this down. So my first version caused this this piece here to fold down. So then I had to put in this third bolt. That was a bit of an oversight on my part. Here we have a bracket, and I've got two of those compression nuts that are mounted inside the deck lid here. And while I was drilling those out, I of course allowed the drill bit, despite my efforts, to go through, and it punched the outside, so I now have an obvious blemish that I can add to my list of failures. Anyway, so that's the one shock. The kit I bought off Temu for about 40 bucks, so it's a good modification, and if you can install it without causing further damage, it's actually a benefit. Anyway, that's it for now.